Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Scottish Football Zone. You join us on a Thursday evening, which is pretty strange at this time. I know usually we're live at 7 o'clock on a Thursday, but we did have a whole card of Premiership fixtures on Wednesday night. There was 4 draws, 1 win at Reagan Celtic. I'm sure he'll be buzzing with that, and also a new manager in town at Celtic as well, which will be interesting. But Hearts dropped more points. I'm sure Graham will probably be quite disappointed with that. I don't know if anybody's seen the goal, but wasn't the best efforts for Swallows, so we're going to talk about that later. Also, Motherwell and Falkirk drew 0-0. Dundee United drew 2 each with Rangers, and St Mirren drew 3 each away at Pittodrie. Graham, will come to you first. How you doing, mate?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. How are you guys doing?
Aye, not bad. It's been an interesting sort of few days in Scottish football. Obviously, as I mentioned there, we've got a new manager in Scottish football. Wilfred Nancy's been announced new as the new Celtic gaffer. We've had Rangers 2 draws. Obviously, Hearts drew last night. Graham, how would you sort of sum up the way at least Hearts are playing right now?
Frustrating. I thought yesterday was disappointing. I'd expected to win. Kilmarnock are not on a great run. And I thought it was a good chance for Hearts to get 3 points on the board ahead of that big game against Celtic on Sunday, which I'm not looking forward to. But it was just frustrating. A lot of the ball in the first half didn't really create too much. But a couple of decent chances, but didn't really do enough to test the goalkeeper. And once we get the first goal through Shankland, you're thinking, right, let's go and kill this game off. Let's get a couple of goals now and just kill this off. The longer it goes at 1-0, you know there's always a chance. Fair play to Kilmarnock. They chucked on the substitutions, chucked on Dackers, chucked on Power, chucked on Anderson, and then they get the goal. It's poor from Swallow. He's not done a lot wrong this season, but he's got to hold that. You can't be making that kind of mistake. And it just kind of sums up Hearts so far the last few weeks. We've not won since we've won 1 game since we beat Celtic. We were 8 points clear after we beat Celtic, and now it's level. It's just we're lacking a spark going forwards. I don't think we're too bad defensively, but we're just lacking that spark going forward. Like guys like Kizridis and Braga, who were great for the last few months, have gone off the boil completely. Braga's not scored in the last 5, Kizridis not scored in the last 6. They're trying too many flips and tricks that just don't work. I think some of Derek McInnes' decision makers are quite strange. His substitutions, I think, are baffling at times. I think the decision to start Alan Forrest yesterday was mental, because I don't know why we're still starting him in this kind of day and age. But it's just, I've never thought Hearts were going to win the league. I've always said that. But it's disappointing the fact that 8 points clear and we've kind of tucked it away a little bit. So yeah, it's been very frustrating. We are still top. We've only lost 1 league game all season. But performances the last few weeks have just been very, very flat.
Aye. Before we get into sort of talking about all the Premiership action, of course, it is a big day tomorrow for the Scottish national team, as we will be finding out our World Cup opponents. Graham, how are you feeling about this? I think I think it's basically the hype's almost here, if not already. To be honest with you, it's one of these things that, as mentioned all the time, a whole generation's never got to see Scotland at a World Cup, never got to see a World Cup draw with Scotland in it. So, are you excited for this one?
I have never been more buzzing for a draw in my life, mate. I can't wait. It's always great watching a European draw or a World Cup draw, but it's even better when your own team's in it. And I cannot wait to see who Scotland are going to get tomorrow. I mean, it's probably going to take about 3 hours because there's that many teams in it, and they like to drag this thing out. But honestly, I'm buzzing for it. I've been buzzing for the last few weeks. Just seeing Scotland's name is just fantastic. I've never seen as many folk so buzzing for a draw, and I cannot wait to see who Scotland get. I mean, there's a best and worst case scenario. Right now, I am hoping, this won't happen, but I'm hoping for Canada from pot 1. I'm hoping for Iran from pot 2, and I'm hoping for New Zealand from pot 4. That for me is probably the best case scenario. I've seen a few folks say, "Oh, do you want to get an Argentina Brazil for the kind of? It'll be a great draw." I want the best possible draw for us to get through to the next round, and I don't care who it is as long as we get a chance to get through. But I can't wait for it. I'm buzzing for it.
I think I think you're right. I think best case scenario we get that group and things are looking good. I'd still like, at one part of me though does want a glamour tie. I know we want to try and get through the group, but I think if you gave us like Brazil and then you gave us maybe an Iran and then New Zealand, we'll still get a good chance of getting through, and you get that glamour aspect as well. I mean, Reagan, how are you feeling ahead of that World Cup draw?
Aye, not bad. I'm just I'm personally hoping we get USA. I'd quite like to beat USA in their own backyard.
I mean, there is no guarantees we'll beat them, to be fair. They're very well coached right now. Under, is it Pochettino they're getting coached
Yeah,
under?
Pochettino, aye.
Aye.
But yeah, I think I would like Ghana as well, Robbie, because I like Semenyo from Bournemouth and I like Kudus from Spurs as well. So I think there's a wee added incentive to that as well because I think we could genuinely beat these sort of squads. But I think the big one for me, Robbie, is I hope we avoid Senegal. I don't know if they're qualified, but Senegal seem to be the African team that are playing absolutely brilliant at the minute.
Aye, Senegal in pot two, so that is a possibility we could get them. I mean, the first two pots are pretty brutal no matter who you land. Obviously, I think there's a couple of teams in there that we take, but overall, I mean, you're looking at some of the teams, especially in pot one. Of course, we've got the old rivals in there, England. Wonder if we'll maybe see them in the draw tomorrow, but aye, it will be definitely interesting. Do you guys think? I mean, look, worst case scenario, right? We get handed a group. Like, I think my prediction is it'll be Scotland. I think we'll get Brazil. I think we'll get Australia, and I think we'll get Ghana. Do you guys still feel confident that no matter who we get, we still can put in a fighting chance now? Like we're there. I mean, is it a case we just go and get it all?
Aye, because in the last Euros, I think we were far too defensive. We just need to go for it. We just need to go for it and enjoy these moments.
Graham, would you agree?
Yeah, completely. I hope Steve Clark's learned lessons with the last 2 Euros because I do think we were quite passive in those 2 Euros and we kind of let these games pass us by. It's a World Cup. It doesn't happen very often, especially for Scotland. I would just like, if we go out, I would like to go out having been gung ho and having a go in every game. At least that way, the fans they've given us everything. If we do that, I don't want to say if we're defensive, sitting back and just trying to play for a set piece and stuff. Just have a go. It's a big opportunity here. I mean, I think Saturday we find out the destinations where we're going to play and the times. I just hope it's not one of these things that's going to be like we're kicking off at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll probably get up for it, but I'd rather not. I'd rather it was decent kickoff time to actually get to see it.
I don't know if John Swinney will be happy or I don't know who the Labour Council is. But I just hope that they can arrange, Robbie, for the pubs in Glasgow and Paisley, Edinburgh to be open because it'd be great. It'd be great to meet you guys for a wee pint and watch the Scotland games.
I can't wait for that. I'm buzzing to get up at 4 a.m. to watch Scotland play like Canada, Iran, or something like that in a pub in Paisley. But no, will definitely be good. Let us know, by the way, in the comments. Let us know your predictions of who you think Scotland are going to get. Let us know over on the TikTok as well, Regan. Do you have the at hand because it's not on the screen and I can't remember it? How to follow us on TikTok?
It's just at the Scottish Football Zone, Robbie. We've actually managed to build a good following over the past week. We've only been going for about 7 days now, Robbie, so it's been going really well.
Aye, all the TikTok, as you like to call it. If you want, you can follow most people in the show. Graham, I know you do a lot of TikTok content at Hearts Enthusiast. I'm at Robbie Rants. Michael is even on TikTok now, but Chad didn't see that coming in a million years. I think he's at Mikey Boy 83. So, make sure you get everybody a follow. But should we get into the Premiership action because I know there was 4 draws, but there was quite a lot to talk about. I suppose we'll start at Celtic Park, Regan. It was Celtic 1, Dundee 0. Daizen Maeda scored the only goal of the match on the 11th minute. Before this match, it was a bit optimistic, I think, feeling Celtic Park, considering the fact I think it was 49 minutes before kick-off Wilfred Nancy got announced as the new manager. How did you feel going to Celtic Park knowing that was happening?
I think there was a bit of a buzz. I texted my friend before the show and I said I was going to be like 4-0, 5-0, but it didn't turn out that way. I think Celtic probably should have scored 2 or 3 goals, Robbie. I don't know if you've seen the highlights, Robbie, but the Celtic created a lot of chances, especially in that first half. But I've been really impressed with since Martin has come into the job at Celtic Park. I mean, Brendan Rodgers said it was a Honda Civic, but if you've seen that TikTok I put up the other day, Robbie, I mean, Martin O'Neill's been driving that Ferrari, so I don't know what Brendan Rodgers has been doing with the players. It just shows you that sometimes they talk about these old school managers like of Steve Clark, kind of Walter Smith, like maybe they're going out of fashion, but it just shows you, Robin, these kind of managers are still there and they're still very good.
Aye, I think it's easy to, not play the modern way. I think when you keep it very basic and very simple, and I think Martin O'Neill has done that. We've spoken about it on the show. It probably is Sean Maloney doing most of that sort of side of stuff. But Martin O'Neill at the end of the day, he's the one trying to hit the boys up, get them up for the games, and he's done that pretty well so far, Graham. Well, he's done it now for his whole tenure because that's him done now.
He has. He's done very well. He's getting a tune out of those players that clearly Brendan Rodgers just wasn't doing. They clearly are playing for him. He's very, very, as we all know, he's very experienced. And he's got a tune out of them. And I think last night, fair play to Desmond Maeda as well. Because that goal he scored is very brave. He puts his head in where it's going to hurt. He did very well for that header. But yeah, there's no doubt Celtic have looked better under O'Neill. I think some of the football's not been amazing, but they're winning games. That's all he had to do, just come in and win games, and he's done that. And you hear him after the game yesterday talking about how he's thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't think Martin O'Neill ever expected to get back in that Celtic dugout again, and he said that before. But he's done well. He's leaving Celtic in a pretty good place just now. How the new manager is going to do, we don't really know. I know he's done very well at his previous club, but it's going to be difficult coming to Scottish football, seeing how he's going to set up. But yeah, fair play, O'Neill's done a very good job.
Aye, it certainly has, and there's obviously, as I mentioned, a new gaffer in town, Wilfred Nancy, and we spoke to Gabe on the show on Sunday. Michael interviewed him. It was a very, very good interview. You think there's obviously been a lot of talk about the 3-4-3 coming into Scottish football and that sort of system that Nancy likes to play. Do you think that will work at Glasgow?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Robbie, I think Nancy clearly has got something as a manager. I don't think Celtic really would hire this guy if they don't believe he's got a real chance of success. But I don't know what you guys think. I just find it weird that especially going into the Hearts game and going into the obviously the big match against St Mirren next week at the National Stadium. I just find it strange that he's able to come in at this point in time. I just think at the end of the day, that's a crucial point in the season. But then I do get the argument of, so when are we supposed to get him in? But yeah, I'm genuinely happy that he's going to be in, Robbie, because I think it's something different. Celtic could have went for maybe a more seasoned manager that won more stuff, but I think they've basically seen right that that's a manager that's proved his salt, and not a great footballing nation, but a nation that's ranked number 10 in the Opta standings ahead of the Scottish Premier League. I think we are way down at like 44, Robbie. I think we are. So I think this coach has clearly got something in him.
Graham, I suppose coming to you, look, I know Hearts are playing on Celtic, and it's always going to be a difficult game going to Celtic Park regardless, but what are your thoughts like? Because I can imagine it's quite a strange situation where you don't really know what Celtic team you're going to be coming up against at the weekend.
To be honest, I am concerned because you're going to have these Celtic players desperate to put in a performance for the new manager to show how good they are. So I think this is probably a bad thing for Hearts, to be honest. How he's going to play, obviously, won't have had a lot of training sessions. He only came in last night. He'll have today, tomorrow, potentially. But, how much can he do in a couple of days? We'll have to wait and see. But I am concerned because, like I said, you've got players that are going to be desperate to make an impression, and especially at home with a chance to go top of the league. So I'm not going to lie, I'm very concerned for Sunday. I would have been worried anyway, even if it was Martin O'Neill, but I'm even more concerned now. The way that Hearts are playing, I have a genuine fear for Sunday.
I was just going to ask you, Graham, is it a worry that you can't see matches out? Because you look at all the last few weeks you've played Dundee United, you've played Stuart Kettlewell's boys over the past few matches as well. You've played Aberdeen, and okay, but even if you're going to challenge for second place, I think these are matches that you still need to take 3 points in.
Absolutely. And no disrespect to some of the teams that we should be beating Kilmarnock at home. You know, Kilmarnock were 7 games without a win when they came to Tynecastle. We should have had that game wrapped up, but we didn't. Again, it's a mistake from Swallow, but we should have put the game to bed before that. Aberdeen at Pittodrie, our only defeat in the league. I thought we had enough chances to win that game, but didn't take them. There's a lot of, we're making basic errors, and I just think, I said this on my TikTok page today, I just think for me, decision making has been really poor the last few games. We're making too many poor decisions. There was a moment during the game yesterday at 1-0 up where Claudio Braga comes on, and we all know how I love Claudio Braga, but we've got a 5-on-3, and he's got a simple choice to play it to Kizridis, but he delays it, and we lose possession. Stuff like that. We're giving away too many. We're not actually giving away that many chances, but decision making final thirds has not been there the last few weeks. I listened to McInnes after the game, and he said that we were pretty dominant for most of the game. I think we were dominant, but we're just not doing enough going forward. That attacking threat we've had for the last few months just wasn't there. And I can see us on Sunday going back to a 3 at the back, which I don't like. I think we'll play 3 at the back to try and stifle Celtic. But yeah, it is. The last few weeks have been concerning. But I will say as well that I don't think any Hearts fans thought we'd be in this position to start the season, because I certainly didn't. We've only lost 2 games all season in 20 games in all competitions. So it's been a decent season so far. But the drop-off the last few weeks has been disappointing. And I think for me, the biggest miss is Benny Beningame. He's been a huge miss the last few weeks.
Graham, I remember saying, sorry, Greg, I was just going to say, I remember Graham saying a while ago that Benny Beningame was one of the most underrated players for Hearts. And it's so interesting, Graham, because, and I know we'll get into the Hearts game a bit more later, but you look at Hearts where they finished last season, obviously in the bottom 6, and it's been a remarkable start of the season, I'd say. It's not just been good, I think it's been excellent considering the way, last season went overall. So I think if you're a Hearts fan, and I know this isn't the way the media rolls, I wouldn't be listening to the media critics, because realistically, the Hearts are after an absolute flyer right now.
Well, I think if you look at this point last season, we played 15 games, we had 10 points bottom of the league. So you can look at the fact we've had a massive, massive recovery. Derek McInnes had taken a bottom 6 team, added a few really good players to it, and now we're sitting top of the league. So there's been a massive, massive change, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, I've never thought Hearts would win the league. Second place, potentially. Second place does still get you a potential Champions League spot, qualification, even though you've got 3 rounds to play. But for me, my main thought is just to try and get away from everybody else. Celtic or Celtic, they'll probably end up winning the league anyway. But my main aim is to try and get far ahead of everyone else and try and finish that second place, which I think we can do. We've also still got guys like Ajew to come back in who's been injured. The January window's coming up. We know we're going to sign players in the January window. We've got one in already. It's from Chesnikov from Kazakhstan. We're going to sign a right back, potentially another striker. There's a lot of good things happening at Hearts just now, but we just need to get out this rut that we're in just now. The draws are killing us. We've had far too many draws recently. They're killing us. We need to find a way to start winning games again. I don't think it'll come on Sunday. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see us taking anything at Celtic Park.
Graham, I was just going to say as well, like, I think it's so important that you won last night, especially because Rangers drew, because I fully expect you to get beat on Sunday, to be honest, Graham. Sorry to burst that bubble, but I think Celtic will eventually get the 3 points for me, Graham. My prediction is probably 3-1 to Celtic. So I think that obviously, I think it would have been an extra wee mountain to climb for Rangers for that second place, Graham. But I just felt like, see, even when you scored yesterday, I mean, I think there was genuinely still a few chances in there for you to score. I watched the highlights of the match as well, Graham.
Yeah, I mean, we had an effort off the post from Magnuson, which if that goes in 2-0 up, the game's done. We had other chances as well. We should have had a penalty towards the end, but I'll not go into that just now. But yeah, it's disappointing that we didn't see the game out. And, I should be sitting here with 3 points on the board, but that mistake from Swallows cost us in the end. And if he doesn't make that mistake, we're sitting here talking about another Hearts win. I would like to go to Celtic Park with a bit of a gap, but that's not the case. And I'm intrigued to see now how we cope on Sunday. against a Celtic side they're going to be so up for this. As I said, with the new manager and stuff, I mean, Cheeksy who are going to be up for this. But I would have liked to get 3 points yesterday. I think it was a massive game, and we didn't do enough to win it.
Graham, just on this situation that I was reading about earlier today, how is the Tony Bloom stuff affecting Hearts? Do you know much more than us? I mean, obviously when the news sort of broke, everybody's first thoughts is, how is this going to affect Hearts? You know what I mean? So is there anything worrying for Hearts fans or Hearts the club? Or?
No, it's total clickbait. This is a story that was doing the rounds last year, and Tony Bloom's already spoke about it. There's nothing to the story. So I don't think any Hearts fan, I'm certainly not worried about it. And I don't think any of the Hearts fan is either. It's just, again, media stories coming out. It's funny that Hearts are top when this kind of stuff comes out. It's the media, again, doing their normal spin stuff. There's nothing to it as far as I know.
All right, that's fair enough. I just wanted to clarify that because obviously when you read the sort of media articles, your first thought is what's going on with Hearts and all that sort of stuff. But good to know it's just more media clickbait. Going back to Celtic Park, in terms of Dundee, a loss for Presley, a narrow loss to be fair, which I'm sure we'll probably try and find some positives out of. Probably positives at the last 2 results considering they beat us as well. They've got Aberdeen at home next game. Is Presley maybe surprising a few folk with the results he's picking up? I don't think he would have thought he would have picked up wins against Celtic, drew with Rangers and beat us. So I mean, he's still doing something right.
Let's be honest, most folk thought he'd be the first manager sacked this season. I certainly did. And he managed to outlast both the Celtic and Rangers managers. I mean, they are still sitting 10th. They're still in a dangerous position, but, nobody expects them to go to Celtic Park and win. But I thought they put up a decent fight from looking at the highlights. They had a couple of chances as well, especially there was 1 second half that was quite close. But I think Presley is... I think it's quite clear the players are playing for him. I wasn't sure if they were at the start, but I think you clearly see that they are. The whole stuff with Simon Murray earlier on in the season, I thought he looked a bit disappointed, obviously, but he looks a bit more lively now. So, yeah, I mean, I think they are turning it around a little bit, but results are what's important. There's a long way to go still on the season. I think there's, 23 league games to go? There's a long way to go, but I think players will look at yesterday and go, do you know what? We've come to Celtic Park, we've had a couple of chances, we've not been absolutely hammered. I think he'll take the positives out of that game.
Reagan, just on Daizen Maeda, he scored again. Do you think that's maybe him starting to find a lot of his confidence back? Obviously, at the start of the season, he wasn't really playing through the middle. He's now got back to sort of playing through the middle, and he's scoring a few goals now.
He's playing with a smile on his face. But see, on that topic, Robbie, I don't think he should be allowed back on the park. But I'm glad he was allowed back on the park, to be honest with you, because I read a rule today, Robbie, that if he was off with if he went off due to a medical issue with his head, he wouldn't be allowed to play on Sunday. So I'm glad that Celtic managed to get him on, because then that means that because he would have had to sit out 1 match. I'm sure it is. So I'm glad that he is going to be available on Sunday, but I genuinely don't think he should have played on. But I think he's been great, Robbie, because I think Martin has really brought a kind of a steeliness back to the squad again, and they seem a bit more streetwise. They seem to get the ball probably a lot more quicker. So aye. And I think the biggest person that's really benefited from Martin O'Neill has been Scales, and for me, it's been Rio as well. I think Rio. See, when Brendan Rodgers was here, he just looked as if he wanted away, but now he plays that pass last night, and I'm in the stadium, Robbie, and I'm thinking, what a pass that is,
Aye. So if I could just ask you finally, then with Martin O'Neill, obviously that's the thing you've done. He obviously gave a sort of a few words after the game. You obviously seen the footage on Celtic's TikTok in the dressing room. How would you sum up Wigan his tenure as Celtic boss for what will most likely be the final time?
I think he's over exceeded the expectation, Robbie, because you look at when Martin O'Neill came in, it was to steady the ship. He's done a lot more than steady the ship. He's actually put the ship back together again with glue. I would describe it. I mean, I looked at when he actually was brought in. He'll be 11 points behind Hearts. But Hearts have played one extra match because of the semi-final against Rangers. So you look at that, they were still 11 points behind, and to go to be 11 points behind Hearts, and then to be level, and then to give the brand new manager Nancy a chance to go 3 points clear on Sunday is a massive opportunity. And I think as well, it's a great opportunity for people like me that were born in late 90s to actually see Martin O'Neill, because unless you were born before like 1990, you probably didn't really get to see Martin O'Neill properly, because I was born in 1998, Robbie, and obviously I was born from Martin O'Neill's time, but I was only 2 years of age, so probably didn't even see the football back then.
Aye. Graham, obviously Martin O'Neill's tenure's done now. We've got a new boss in town. How would you put it, say, looking in, say that Martin O'Neill sort of, would you agree with Regan that he almost fixed Celtic?
Yeah, I think he did. You know, Celtic were in an absolute state. A lot of Celtic fans were raging at the board. I think they probably still are. But there's no doubt Martin O'Neill has turned it around on the park. And as I said earlier, these players are playing for him. You know, why wouldn't you? The experience that Martin O'Neill's got, he's come in there and he's done a very good job. Sadly for me, Celtic aren't obviously level on points, but that was always going to happen, I think. But fair play him. He's done a very good job. Martin O'Neill is a very good manager. You know, I remember Martin O'Neill when he was at Celtic previously, and he had such an incredible squad. You know, guys like Henrik Larsson and guys like that were just incredible. They've not quite got that squad now, but I think Martin O'Neill's done a fantastic job, and fair play him. You know, he can go away now with his head held high and look at what Celtic are going to do now that Wilfred Nancy's up.
I'm just going to finally ask you guys, do you think that maybe potentially, like Martin O'Neill and his backroom team of Fodringham and Maloney, that's maybe got them a little bit of scratching the itch and want to go back into management again?
It will not surprise me, I think, if Fodringham are Maloney style at Celtic, to be honest with you. I'm not too sure what's come out so far about Nunn saying what he wants out his coaching team, but I'd imagine if the opportunity's there, both of them will probably want to stay on at the club and want to continue building the Celtic. So, it will not surprise me.
See, in terms of Martin himself, Robin, do you think he could potentially go on, because he's certainly still got it?
I think it would be asking for a lot, to be honest with you. Martin O'Neill to go back into a permanent job. I don't even know if he wants to be honest with you. Just for the way both his press conferences and stuff like that, I think he maybe got a wee buzz for doing that, and I think he was maybe happy to leave it at that. I don't imagine he'll go any further, to be honest.
Yeah, they might have a job at Liverpool shortly, you never know.
At this point, Liverpool are going to be taking Rodgers again.
Do you know, Robbie, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I would say that Brendan Rodgers has not got a very, very good relationship with the Liverpool press. So I don't think that would be an option.
It'll be Steven Gerrard, I think, next if slot goes, to be honest with you, which I don't know how I even feel about that.
But then, Robbie, I'll just get your opinion on that then. So if you think Steven Gerrard at Liverpool then, but I mean, what's Steven Gerrard done to put himself in that position?
No, but he's a Liverpool legend, isn't he? So, like, he just automatically gets bonus. But, I mean, it's like, you know, it's like Martin O'Neill at Celtic. What's Martin O'Neill done since he's still been a manager to get the Celtic job? He's still got form back in, you know what I mean? So, like, it's just one of the things. Like, I personally think Gerrard will just get linked to the Liverpool job and probably get approached if there's no other options. I know Postecoglou's been flung into the mix, Regan, which I don't know how you'd feel about that.
I was saying this to my friend the other day, right? Is that, like, Postecoglou, when he was 10 games in, I mean, they were talking about Postecoglou replacing Jurgen Klopp. Remember that?
No. Oh, God, what we could be doing with Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool right now, man.
It'll be the dream team of Steven Gerrard and Russell Martin. Watch this.
It's interesting that Van Bronckhorst is actually in the Liverpool dugout as well. There's quite a few names. But we'll move on and we'll go to Tynecastle to speak more about Hearts 1, Kilmarnock 1. Shankland opened the score in the 49th minute before a 90th minute Bruce Anderson goal levelled things up. Obviously, Derek McInnes drawing point to his former side. I think it's only right to come to you. What was your sort of full assessment on the game?
I thought we started okay. We started on the front foot. I thought Kabore actually started off quite well. He had one big chance that I think he should score, and then he sets up Shankland. Shankland's a goalkeeper, and I thought we were okay in spells, but just didn't do enough with the possession we had. I never really thought Kilmarnock were a massive threat. I did say on my TikTok page before the game, I thought we had to be patient, and we were. We obviously get the goal from Shankland. Great finish as well. I mean, the ball's not meant for him, it's meant for Kabore, but it's a great finish. And that's his 10th goal of the season as well. And I thought from then on in, right, let's go and kill this game off. We just don't do it. I spoke about it earlier, decision making. Our decision making at times was really, really poor.
Sorry, Graham. I was just going to say, see, when I got home last night, I was listening to Tom English. It's not often that Tom English makes a good point, right? But he did mention that I think the Hearts attacking players, like the brand new players like Braga and Kierides, he said maybe the opposition from Scottish clubs have now sussed out basically so they can cope with these players. Do you know what I mean? But maybe after the first 5 or 6 matches, it was quite difficult. But because most clubs have seen these players now for 10, 12 games, are starting to realise what they can do to stop these guys playing.
Yeah, I think it's understandable that players are going to go off the boil. And I think that's what's happened with Kierides and Braga. They've not been anywhere near the level they were at the start. There's a long way to go. I mean, they can definitely get better, but I just think that sometimes the decision making was really poor. Like yesterday, like I said, the Braga one where he's got a chance to play it to Kierides and he doesn't take it, he delays it. And there were times last night where we were trying all these flips and tricks at like 1-0, and I'm thinking, you can do that when you're 3-4 up, not a 1-0. This game's still to be won. We did have chances, like I said, Magnuson off the bar, it's a decent effort. But then the longer it kind of went, with about 50 minutes to go, you sensed Kilmarnock were getting back in the game. They've got a header off the bar from Dackers, and you thought, we need to kill this game off. We get a second goal, this game's done, but it just didn't come. And again, I think the last few weeks, what I've found frustrating is the subs that we're making. They're either too late or the wrong decisions. I mean, I said it earlier on. I don't want to criticise the guy, but I don't understand why Alan Forrest is still playing. Because he's not good enough. You've got a guy like Savar Kajota, who came off the bench against Hibs and made the goal, who's not getting a chance. You're still playing guys like Blair Spittle. These are guys who were there last season that failed, and they're still playing. I just think some of the decisions recently have been very, very poor. But I keep on going back to the fact that I still think that you look at where we were last season to this season, there's a massive, massive change. We've only lost 2 games all season, one in the cup and one in the league. And I do think we will get better with new signings, but I also do think that we're missing Benny in midfield, because Devlin for me has been outstanding, but he's got nothing alongside him. Absolutely nothing alongside him.
I was just looking at your fixtures there, Graham. You play in Edinburgh Derby soon, you go to Rangers. I mean, there's some big fixtures in there.
Yeah, we play Hibs away and Rangers at home. I mean, Rangers at home, I think it's a game we can definitely win. The Derby game, that can go either way. But I think after Celtic, we've got Falkirk away. That's the weekend that Celtic plays St Mirren in the Cup. So even if we do lose on Sunday, we've got a chance to go back top again if we win that game. But it's just, there's certain things need to change. I think we need to be a far more... I think for me, we're playing a bit too slow at times. We need to up the pace a little bit. I do think on Sunday, I mean, I never thought we'd be going to Celtic Park still top of the league. That might change on Sunday. But I'm going there with absolutely I'm not confident at all. I really am. But whatever happens, happens. But I just think there's things I think we need to change a little bit. But the attacking threat's just not there anymore.
Graham, how much does this next run of games actually affect the season overall? Because as Reggie mentioned, the next 4 games really are really tough. I mean, Celtic, Falkirk away, 2 teams that are bang in form right now. Rangers at home, as you mentioned, you could win that game. And then Edinburgh Derby. I mean, that is a tough run to face any time in a season, never mind, in a row.
Yes, there's no easy game in the Premier League. I mean, unless you're playing Livingston. But We need to just start picking up results again. We need to just start winning games again. There's no doubt this team is a very good team. And I kind of said after the Aberdeen game, now we'll see what Hearts are made of. Because you always find out more when you lose a game. Now, we've not actually lost since the Aberdeen game, but the performances are just not quite there at the moment. I do think, and I will come to this now, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's a penalty at the end for me for Dominic Thompson. And I actually asked, I don't usually do this, but I actually asked Des Roach and Steve Conroy, the two former Grade 1 referees, their thoughts on that, and they came back to me and said they think it's a penalty. And I don't know why, I'm assuming it was looked at, but I don't know why that's not given. We didn't deserve to win the game, so it's not sour grapes, but that's a penalty for me. He's handled it quite clearly. It's a penalty.
I've not seen that. Steinbergen, have you seen it?
I did think it was a penalty as well, Graham. But it's also the questions of VAR. I mean, the Scottish clubs are paying a lot of money. I don't know why they're paying a lot of money when week after week, game after game, so many bad choices have been made by the referees.
The technology only works if you've got the people that can use it properly. And we don't have the folk that can use it. Like, the guys on VAR can look at every angle, they can speed up, they can slow it down, and yet they're still making mistakes. So now I'm going to be expecting Willie Collum on his next VAR review show to be saying it's a penalty. He might not, but for me, it's every single week now we're talking about referees. It does get boring as a supporter, but you're looking at that yesterday going, I don't know how that's not given. Like, Nick Walsh on VAR can see that. Sometimes I can excuse the referee if he's not got a great position. So I'm not going to lay too much blame on John Beaton, but Nick Walsh can see that. And the worrying thing for me is it's the same referees that make the same mistake every week. Nick Walsh, John Beaton, Matthew McDermott, David Dickinson, who needs to stick to TV show. Honestly, they're just hopeless. These referees are getting worse every week.
See, the big thing for me, though, Robbie, I was looking the other day and Andrew Dallas made a big mistake in the Dundee United and Kilmarnock match on Saturday night. I don't know if you've seen it, but for me, that's a big mistake he made in that game, Saturday evening. And then I look on Sunday, I'm watching Rangers against Falkirk, and it pops up in the telly, Andrew Dallas is the VAR, and that's a big problem for me. Big problem is that Andrew Dallas made a mistake on the Saturday, but then he's on the biggest match on the Sunday. So there's been there's no responsibility being taken.
Aye, well, look, if we punished every referee that made a bad decision in the Summer Games, there'd be no referees left, put it that way. I mean, we're going to Pittodrie later. Just another baffle, man. But, I mean, you're right. It's every single game week. It doesn't matter where in the country it is, and I'm not trying to say it's just certain things because it's everybody getting affected by VAR. No team should be made to pay for this. It's just, we could.
Obviously, we'll get on to the Rangers and Dundee United match as well, but I think there's a handball show in there as well for Dundee United. I think that's a handball. I think that's a penalty.
Aye, and
well, according to Sports last night, they didn't think it was, but I completely disagree. For me, that's a handball.
Yep.
But in terms of Kilmarnock then, on their side, Reagan, it's a point for Kettlewell, which I'm sure he'll be happy with. It's not been a great run of form for Kilmarnock recently. They've not been playing their best stuff. It was maybe under a bit of pressure, but that's a point against the team that are currently top of the league. So you think you'd take that?
Definitely. I mean, sure, Kettlewell's come in for a lot of criticism recently, but I think his squad's actually doing okay. I think it was Dackers, Graham, that also had the chance to win the match for Kilmarnock as well. Did he have a chance to come off the post? Sure it was.
Yeah, he's a real handful. He's about 8 feet tall. He's a real handful. Like, he's not the most skillful player, but he's a handful.
Yep. So I think, and obviously we'll get on to it, Robbie, but they play Rangers under the lights on Saturday evening, so that'll be a big game because I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Kettlewell goes away there and gets the 3 points against Rangers. I wouldn't be surprised.
Aye, I mean, it'll be some games Saturday night, 8 o'clock. I don't personally like the kick-off times, but Kettlewell, I think he'll probably get his players to fancy it. Graham, I know we've already spoke about Hearts next game, obviously travelling to Celtic, but how important is it the players go there when they fear, and how important is it that McInnes drills that into them? Because realistically, I know Celtic have sort of turned their fortunes around under O'Neill when they're winning games, but they don't look like the best Celtic we've ever seen. They definitely look like if a team goes there and shows no fear against them, they can get something at the game. So how important is it that the players show that?
Well, I think I've got more fear than what Derek McInnes and the players do, I think, because I'm dreading this. But I think they have to go there with no fear. I think they've just got to try and play their own game. I don't expect us to have a lot of the ball. But I think the important thing for me is when we do get the ball, we use it. Because I've seen us go to Celtic Park too many times and we're sloppy in possession. You can't do that on Sunday. I'd expect Celtic to create a lot of chances, and I think Swallow's going to have to be in good form. You can't make mistakes like yesterday. But we just have to go there, and we're still top. At the end of the day, we're still top. So we go there. I think we've got to try to be confident. If we can get a win there, that would be absolutely massive. I don't think we're going to, but I think if we can come away from there, even with a point, I'd be quite happy with that. But I just think we need to change the way we're attacking just now, because the attacking threat, we're far too slow in the last few weeks. We need to start up in the tempo a little bit and really go after Celtic, because I do think that Celtic defence can be got at. We showed that at Tynecastle. We can be got at, but we just need to be far more aggressive going forward, because we haven't been that in the last few weeks.
So if it was you picking the team, what changes would you make for that command?
I think he'll go three at the back. I think he'll bring Craig Halkett back, and I think Halkett was missed yesterday. I'd like to see McEntee in midfield. I don't know why we keep going back to this experiment of playing him at right back, because it doesn't work. I keep on going back to this point, but we are missing Benny. Like, Benny just brings that composure and control in midfield that we just don't have. I genuinely think, looking at all the new players that we brought in, I genuinely think that Cameron Devlin's one of our best players this season. I think he's been brilliant. But I do think we'll go three at the back. I think we'll go 3-5-2. I think we'll play Halkett, Finlay, and Kent at the back. But I just want to see. I want to see it's been better up front, because that's the issue for me. We're not doing enough going forward.
Aye, I will be interested to see a team. I'm going to assume there's not even a debate. Swallow will still be in goals come the weekend.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he's not. As much as it was a poor mistake yesterday, he had done well up till that point. He did actually make a couple of big saves yesterday. It's just a shame that the one mistake he makes cost us the goal. But I actually do as well think, and I think I said this in another podcast I did as well. I know we talked about Scotland earlier on. I love Craig Gordon. He's my favourite ever Hearts goalkeeper, but I just wonder, does Craig Gordon need to go somewhere on loan to get games for the World Cup? Because right now, he's not going to play. And I just wonder if it's better if he goes on loan somewhere to get games for the World Cup.
Aye, I'd agree. I think he does need to go somewhere, to be honest, to get games. If we didn't have Jamal George, I'd love him at St Mirren, but I wonder if I don't know, it's so difficult to sort of pinpoint a club that would suit him, because does he risk maybe going to a team that are quote-unquote lower down, a worsened team than Hearts, and maybe risk no getting into the Scotland squad? Do you think that's maybe playing in his head?
Well, my kind of thought was potentially, because I know that they're struggling for goalkeepers, I kind of thought Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock are not a bad side for him to go to. I just think if he wants to be in that World Cup squad, I think he will be in it. But I think he needs to be starting games. He's too good a goalkeeper not to be starting. And right now he's not going to play for Hearts. So maybe going to a team like Kilmarnock, where he probably will play, maybe would make quite a bit of sense, I think.
Aye, and at the other end of the park, Lon Shanklin scores again. Speaking about Scotland, there another big player that you've got to say, if they can keep finding the goals, he might be crucial to the Scotland World Cup team as well.
Yeah, I know he's not going to play. I know that. But again, I don't know what this happens, but I was watching Sky Sports the other day, and Chris Sutton and Stephen Naismith talked about Lawrence Shanklin going to Rangers. It's like, can we please stop this now? Because there's every single chance whether this comes up, he's not going anywhere. Last season, we all know that he was poor, but Hearts were poor. But already this season, he's got 10 goals in all competitions. He's back to the player he was a couple of seasons ago. He's so important to Hearts. Fair play to Derek McInnes, because I think, honestly, if Derek McInnes wasn't here, I don't think Shanklin would be. I think Derek McInnes has obviously talked to him during the summer, talked about his plans, how important he is, and Shanklin signed that 3-year contract. I don't think there's any way that Shanklin's still here if McInnes isn't here. So I'm gonna give McInnes credit for this. because I think he's got a big part to play in this. And he looks far happier, he looks far more confident. Like last season, the Lawrence Shankland would never have scored that goal he scored yesterday. So he's back in form again, and he's so important to Hearts, honestly. I mean, for me, I think the spine of the team is Craig Halkett at the back, Benny in midfield, and Shankland up front. That's the spine of the team for me.
Aye. Hello to Paul Donaldson. I hope you're having a good evening, mate. He says, hi, all, didn't realise you were on. Still trying to calm down after that awful match at Pittodrie last night. Why can we not see our match after
What a
going in?
game.
Paul, I don't know how we can hold on to a 1-0 lead. Every time we seem to go a goal up, we seem to bottle it, mate. So I feel your pain, but we'll get to
Robbie,
talk
I'm
about
sure you can even admit, Robbie, that Meathoff had a few howlers.
Meathoff definitely had a few howlers. I'd argue Shamal George and Gogic in particular both had a few howlers. I mean, we'll obviously get into Shamal George and how brave he was to actually play the game last night, but it wasn't a great spectacle, to be honest with you, even though there was 6 goals in the match. But we will. Sorry, Regan.
I was just going to say it was a great match to watch this morning, Robbie. I just felt like it was a great ball in by Stuart Armstrong for the third goal as well. I think he's someone we could potentially look at for Scotland as well. Graham, Stuart Armstrong, what do you think about that?
I still have horrific visions of that England game at Hampden where Armstrong didn't clear that ball, so not for me. But the one thing I will say though, and I saw this a couple of days ago, I don't know how you guys think about this and what the guys in the chat think. I heard talk about potentially, could we bring Callum McGregor back for the World Cup? Is that a potential to happen?
If there's even the slightest chance that McGregor would say, "I go for it," I think he'd be so influential with the Scotland squad. I think he'd be a player that would bring a lot. And I think if there's any slight slim chance, and I know he spoke about it and said he sort of focused on Celtic, but if there's any chance we can get him back, I'd say go all guns blazing for it.
I think he would as well, because it's his last chance to really take Scotland to a World Cup and be part of that squad. So I think he would grab it with both hands and really do well. But I just don't know if it would potentially upset people like Lewis Ferguson, who's been a guaranteed starter. I don't know what you think about that, but I just think that potentially McGregor for me would be ahead of Lewis Ferguson, and maybe Clark needs to think about squad dynamic and for me on that one.
Yeah, I would have. I actually would be that disappointed if Callum McGregor did come back, but I get the point about Lewis Ferguson. I think he's done well recently. I mean, midfield is definitely Scotland's best position right now. But I think if Callum McGregor was asked to come out and of retirement and come back to Scotland, I think he would probably take it, to be honest.
I think if you're Callum McGregor, you would have noticed, to be honest with you. As Regan said, it's going to be your last chance, most likely, of playing a World Cup. So you'd imagine he's going to take it.
Yeah, I think he would, because he's actually done really well with Scotland before. He's helped us get to 2 Euros, and I think the World Championships in America next year would be the icing on the cake.
Sorry to go off topic here. I know you've got a lot of other things to discuss, but I've not actually had a chance to speak to you guys yet. Just talking about the World Cup. And it's a big if he decides he wants to play for Scotland, are you taking Harvey Barnes? Because I'm generally split on this.
For me, yes. I've changed my mind the last 2 days. I said no 2 days ago when I was asked by Michael and Robbie before, but he's scoring against Man City, he's scoring against Marseille. He's proven to be a big player. So for me, he could be the changer in these big matches, because you look at the way Scotland play, we play with like 10 men behind the ball. No disrespect to it, but that's what we potentially do. He could be the pace. And you look at the Denmark match, for example. I mean, I was there last week with my uncle, and both of us were saying when Doak, when he goes off the park, both of us are saying, well, Scotland's not got that wide player that can really burst onto the scene. But if we can get Barnes in the squad, that could be a perfect
I think he would be a good player for Scotland, but I don't know. I'm so split on it. I'm going to say no. I don't think I would want Barnes. I think he's filled with bags and bags of quality, and I think he would make a difference to the team potentially. But, you know, coming into the Scotland squad just because you want to play in the World Cup, I mean, you know, I understand it's one of like once in a lifetime opportunities, but realistically, you know, where's the loyalty in that? You know, where's he been the last couple of years? You know, why has he not made that decision sooner, kind of thing?
That's where I am on this as well. I think if he'd said last year before the World Cup qualifiers he was going to play for Scotland, then it's a different scenario. But I think the fact that now we've qualified, is he only saying that because we've qualified? That's where I kind of sit on that. I probably wouldn't take him, but I know the folk would, and that's fine. But I probably wouldn't.
No, you're all right. We'll manage. I guarantee you, right? I think one of the standout players come that tournament will be Ben Gannon-Doak. I think he has all the potential to be a superstar, man. I hope he shines at the World Cup because, you know, it's going to be one of the best. I think it'll be one of the most historical World Cups there's ever been, just for the way it's getting set up right now. And honestly, I'm just so glad we're a part of it. But I would say no to Barnes, to be honest.
I see a comment in the comment section saying that Harvey Barnes has turned down Scotland. I don't think he has turned us down. I don't think he's been asked a question. I think the commenter is thinking of Elliot Anderson in Nottingham Forest. I think that's the player that knocked us back. But I don't think Barnes has knocked us back, to be honest with you.
He did
I don't think he has yet.
No, but what I would say is, why not have an interest sooner? As Graham mentioned, you know, why not come in before the World Cup qualifiers and go, oh, I'd love to play with Scotland, and then, you know, we can see about bringing them into the team. But if he comes out and then, you know, goes, you know, a few months before the World Cup squad's announced and goes, oh, I'd love to be in the Scotland squad, I just wouldn't have it, to be honest with you. And I get, you know, I don't think, to be honest with you guys, I wouldn't be mad if Steve Clarke brought him in, and I wouldn't be mad if he was in the team. It certainly wouldn't be a negative thing for me, but I just wouldn't. I wouldn't go for it personally.
I think my issue would be is imagine telling someone that's actually got Scotland to qualify that you're not going to the World Cup, but Harvey Barnes is. I think I'd be furious if that was me.
Aye, how big is the World Cup squads, by the way?
I think it's 26.
26. Nah, I'm alright. I'd rather redraft Lewis Morgan in, to be honest with you, and play him instead of Harvey Barnes. That's my goal.
Hey, Robbie, Michael Mandro could still make it yet, mate.
Nah, he's not scoring enough goals anymore for that, unfortunately. It might be a chance. But aye, we can only hope. But we will go to Pittodrie then. We might as well, since we've already sort of mentioned it. I'm just going to come straight at you with the Scott Tanser goal. It did get chopped off for apparent shoveling the goalkeeper. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm trying not to be biased, although I've got a Simon badge right there. That's never a foul on the goalkeeper in a million years.
No, I think you're spot on, Robbie. I think the VR sometimes and the referees can be too overprotective on the goalkeepers in Scottish football at the moment. I don't know if it's like you. I think you've heard it for years in Scottish football about number ones being a protected species and stuff like that.
Graham, would you agree?
It's never a foul. I mean, seriously, I know that goalkeepers have this thing about getting so well protected, but come on, what are we doing here? Football's a contact sport. I mean, that's just never a foul. It's almost like, I don't want to go back to VAR and stuff again, but it's almost like referees and VAR are looking for an excuse to rule goals out. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a goal. It's the same with the Rangers Hearts one a few weeks ago. And I said this at the time when Rangers didn't get the goal for an apparent shove on our goalkeeper Swallow. There was nothing in that. It's a goal.
Robbie,
goalkeepers are far too well protected. Like,
Robbie, I just want to get your thoughts on this. This point being put in the chalky.
What about the handball being the bit of balancing it out? I see when it comes to the VAR show next month and Colin inevitably debates these decisions, I don't think he's going to admit that he got it wrong, to be honest with you. I don't think they're going to admit that they got it wrong. I think they're going to try and say that it was a foul. And it's rightly been chopped off, which I don't get, right, because the argument I'll always say is, right, obviously Tanza puts a bit of contact on the goalkeeper, but see if it's the other way about, right, and the goalkeeper comes out and he jumps up and takes the ball but then hits the player, then they're never going to give that as a penalty, are they? So I don't get why it suddenly changes for the goalkeeper. And not to mention, the way Mitov comes out for that ball is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he's wailing his arms a bit when he comes out for the ball. So for me, I can't believe they even fought that on my half. But I'd probably agree with Paul's comment, to be honest with you. I thought the penalty was a bit harsh, to be honest with you. I think I'm almost more inclined to see why it was given. But I think it is harsh, to be honest with you.
This goes back to something I've said for ages. Nobody, and I mean referees in this as well, nobody knows what the handball rule is. And that's something that Willie Collins going to have to sort out. Because some weeks you're going to get decisions like that, other weeks you won't. That needs to be sorted out and quickly. Because the handball rule is just an absolute joke. I know that every handball decision is subjective, but seriously, the amount of handballs that I've seen given this season and not given, and I talked about the Hearts one earlier, is an absolute joke. No one knows what the handball rule is. I would like Willie Collins to actually come out and say, you know what, this is what a handball will be given for, and this is what it won't be. But every week, it's different. That needs to get sorted out, because that's the biggest thing for me.
I mean, I just don't know what else to say about that. I mean, 5 of the last 6 games we've had a goal chopped off through it. I mean, talk about ruining the game. Genuinely, it's hard not to laugh, hard not to greet, because it's just so frustrating. Like, I keep going on about it every week, but it genuinely makes you not want to go back. Like, why would I want to go to the match on Saturday and potentially go and watch us get another goal chopped up against Dundee United for something that isn't even right? I do not see the point of VAR anymore, to be honest with you. No, while we've got these officials, and I'll always say that a lot of people are very quick to go, or just get rid of VAR, but if we actually got the right officials with the right training and we had them full time first and foremost, then I'd be a bit more inclined to give VAR a chance. But knowing the current situation,
Robbie, I mean, that penalty that Livingston didn't get Ibrox, you don't need training for that. You can clearly see the hand popping up. I know you're talking about training there, but there's basic mistakes there. When I think Des Roach said it yesterday on a podcast with the Daily Record, he says these guys shouldn't need training. They've got monitors there in the studio in Glasgow that they can clearly see. I don't think training is always the answer, because see if me and you went down the pub, Robbie. I think me and you could see that in 2 minutes.
you're right. You're absolutely spot on. You shouldn't need training for stuff like that. That's common sense. But then what I'd be saying is, what are these referees being told? See with the amount of mistakes that have been made this season. What is Colin telling these guys? How is he trying to fix this? How is he trying to get these referees better? Because I'd be so intrigued to know, because I genuinely could not think of what he's telling these referees.
I just think sometimes there's no responsibility from him, because at the end of the day, he's still putting these guys in pressure moments. There, as much as I keep moaning about Andrew Dallas, that guy has been put out game after game. And I know, Robbie, you'll come back to me and say, well, there's nobody else to be refereeing. But sometimes, like, I think Des even mentioned it last week to me about Matthew McDermott. I mean, Matthew McDermott's made a mistake after mistake. And I think sometimes it's about speaking to him and saying, okay, Matthew, so obviously you're making big mistakes, but I mean, how can we learn for this? I'm just hoping that he's actually there's proper training in there.
I say we just draft Des Roach in to be a head of refereeing. That's what I say, because the man clearly talks a lot of sense. But no, I mean, look, Paul's comment spot on as well. The fans don't know what's going on inside of the stadium. How many games have you went to this season and you've not got a clue what's going on during the VAR check? It makes the fans just... I think, honestly, guys, it just honestly ruins the overall experience of going to a football game.
And that's why I've enjoyed going to the championship matches for the Scottish Football Zone, because as soon as a goal goes in, you're writing it down there, Robbie, and you're going, right, that's a definite goal. It's none of this waiting about 5 minutes to see what's happening.
The
Aye,
funny thing is, when VAR came in, we all thought, and I think Michael actually said this previously, when VAR came in, we all thought, well, that's it. There's nothing to talk about in football anymore because VAR's here. And every single week, all we're doing is talking about decisions. It's not solved anything. And the word they would use, and I've said this before, the word they would use is accountability. There's no accountability for referees. They make mistakes every week, and I think you mentioned it earlier on, Reagan. A referee makes a mistake, but then the next week is given another game. If you make the same mistake in your work, you get sacked. But these referees have no accountability. They don't have to answer to if a team gets beat, a manager has to come out and make an interview after a game, or a player has to come out. Referees do not have to say anything. Where's accountability? For me, it's an absolute embarrassment. These referees this season, I said it earlier, are getting worse and worse every week. But they know that even if they make a mistake, they'll be back in next week. That's not good enough.
Robbie, and I
Aye.
think the next move we should go into is that VAR controversy at Tannadice. I know a certain Hearts pundit on Premier Sports was mentioning about it's not a penalty, Robbie, but for me, that Rangers and Dundee United penalty in the last minute, that for me is 100% a penalty.
Aye, as in, I think it's very easy to tell what team Michael Stewart supports, put it that way. It's a clear and obvious penalty for me. I don't even get Stewart's argument, to be honest with you, that he's not even touched him. I don't know what cameras he's checking the penalty out, sorry, on, to be honest with you. There was obviously some other VAR drama to talk about in that game as well, with the sort of other side, and it could have been a penalty, but in my opinion, it is a penalty. But what I would say to you guys is, like, do you not think, right, honestly, Graham, I think I've said it to Reagan and Michael before on the show, if we want to get rid of VAR now, and it was to be a case we go back to the way it used to be, you know, a lot of people are saying, oh, but then referees would make mistakes. Would you not rather take, right now, an honest mistake, VAR, chalk them off a clear and obvious decision that should have went the opposite way?
Do you know what? I'm so split on this because I've said this for so long. I genuinely do not think VAR's the problem. The technology works. It's the folk that use it that are useless. And I've always said this. It's an official that's in the VAR room and an official in the park. They are not using VAR properly. Now, the one thing I will say about England, which I quite like, is the fact that after a VAR decision, they actually tell the fans in the stadium what the decision is. That'll never happen in Scotland because they just won't do that. But I just think that we need to get referees. I think it was Reagan mentioned referees going full time. I don't think that'll make any difference. They're just not good enough. I mean, you talk to any Championship fan and they love the fact there's no VAR in there. And the thing is, again, you talked about it earlier on, Robbie, the fact that you can't celebrate a goal anymore. Like, you score a goal, you're waiting to find out if it's going to get given or not. That's not a great football experience for me. I just think, for me, I don't think VAR's going to go anywhere, but they just need to make things so much easier. Referees just need to get better at their job. It's simple as that. They're not good enough. They're just not good enough. I mean, I know you talked about United game there, but just going back to the Aberdeen St Mirren game, I actually think there were good moments and bad moments for both teams yesterday. I think you've got to give Aberdeen credit. You know, they managed to get a couple of goals. Lazatic apparently only scored against St Mirren. I think 3 was 4 goals coming against St Mirren. But you've got to give St Mirren credit. You know, to battle back twice to get a draw, I think fair enough to them. But, I mean, it's such a weird season this season. Like, Aberdeen have not had a great season. They're currently sitting 7th. St Mirren sitting 11th. I mean, Robbie, obviously, you're the St Mirren fan here. St Mirren's a decent team. Where is it going wrong for St Mirren this season that we're sitting 11th? Because there's no way that St Mirren team should be sitting 11th.
No chance. And it's so frustrating, and I'm not going to sit here and use VARs and it's just because it'd be an easy way to cheap out, and using a bunch of excuses. I'm not going to do that. We've not been good enough. The mentality's not been there. I'm actually really surprised we fought back last night. I thought when it went 2-1 Aberdeen, I was like, that's game over. There's no chance we're getting back into this now. Aberdeen will take the 3 points, but we showed great mentality. We showed great character. A bit of luck. And Dimitar Mitov doing us a huge favour for 2 of the goals. But we're just not good defensively, and it's weird to say because going into the season I was so confident with Fraser, Gogic and Freckleton at the back. I said that's one of the best defences you're going to get in the league. They're 3 really, really solid guys, but they're just lacking so much confidence right now. And we've got a massive, massive game at the weekend against Dundee United. We simply have to win it before the cup final. I mean, if we go into the cup final having won since the semi-final, I'll be really, really worried. But I just think Robinson's got to be braver, and the changes we're making, we've got guys in there that clearly need a chance. Fraser Taylor's come in against Aberdeen last night. Aye, looks very, very impressive. He's good on the ball. He moves the ball a bit quick. He's good at taking a set piece. You've got guys like Evan Mooney that come on who probably could have had a goal had a younger squared it to him. Obviously ended up scoring anyway, but he got himself into a really good position. We've got Richard King who obviously scored in the 99th minute. If I'm Robinson, I'm making a few changes against Dundee United. I'm probably taking off the front two. I'm just not a fan of a younger man John personally, but I think I can see why Robinson likes to utilise them. But I just wish we were a bit braver in our changes, to be honest with you, mate. And I do just think we're just lacking that mentality right now. And I think I always say in football, goals can change seasons. I think if any goal's going to change your season, change your fortunes, it's probably Richard King. And of course, look, I'm not trying to use it as an excuse, but VAR does play an impact in it. If 5 of your last 6 games you're getting a goal, at least the one goal ruled out by VAR, it's going to affect the players mentally. Like it just is. That's the way it works, and it happens with every team as well. So, of course, that plays a big factor in it. But I'd say it's just the mentality of the players right now, to be honest.
Apparently, that was Ayunga's first goal since August. That's a mental stat.
He's not had many, to be fair. He's been on the bench quite a lot. Obviously, when Dan Lundulu came in as well, he sort of gets shifted to the bench. I personally, and I know for the Nissan fans out there, probably get some stick for this, but I think Ayunga gives us more than Mandron, and I was such a big advocate for Mandron earlier in the season. But just the way he moves sometimes is far too slow. He's not energetic enough. I think Ayunga, when he's at the top end of his game, I think he's an unbelievable striker. That's probably a really big hot take, to be honest with you, but that's just the way I view the front three, to be honest.
I mean, Robbie, is there anything else you want to mention on the Aberdeen St Mirren match?
I just think, I mean, credit to Aberdeen. They did turn the game around at a time where I didn't think they were going to. I actually thought we looked pretty comfortable for a good while. Of course, full credit to Shamal George, who obviously flew up for England on the day of the match. Unfortunately, had some family really bad news, so full credit to him for actually going ahead and playing the match. I think Robinson spoke after the game and sort of said he wasn't expecting him to play, so the fact he's actually come up and still gave it his all for the team, you can only command that. But I thought Aberdeen looked alright at times. I thought when they went 2-1 up, to be honest with you, Paul, I don't know what you thought, but I thought Aberdeen probably were going to go and get another couple. That's just the way the game shifted in momentum for me. But I think Aberdeen will be happy. They've turned the fortunes around. But is it unbeaten in 6 now for Aberdeen? So they'll be feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, Robbie, we should probably move on now to the Rangers match 2-2 at Dundee United.
I'm a big pal Jim Goodwin. Putting up a draw against Rangers probably should have been a win, to be honest with you, had they hold on, but I think he'll take a lot of positives in that. I know earlier we were speaking about the VAR decisions. So do you guys both agree that it was it should have been a penalty at Dundee United with that handball?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, Graham, you agree?
Yeah, and it's what I said earlier. Nobody knows what the handball is. For me, that looks a penalty. I don't understand why Neil McCann out of sports team last night said it's not a penalty. For me, it's a penalty. His hands are in an unnatural position. It's a penalty kick.
Aye, and I suppose it comes back to that point, have a VAR no pick. Well, VAR having a look at it, how they not getting to the decision that is a penalty. I mean, I'll never know. But you've got to say, by the way, credit to Dundee United. It was 2 absolutely fantastic goals they scored. I'm really impressed, Regan. I think you said it earlier. That Fata guy, he looked like a really, really good player for Dundee United.
Yeah, I mean, he probably should he should have scored as well in the first half of the game. Jack Butler made a very good save, but I mean that goal when he glided by Raskin, I think it was, and then Jager. I know everybody's been voting by Jager, but I mean, what a finish! It was some goal. It was a great goal, and I think it just shows you. I know a lot of people were a little bit worried about Dundee United in terms of bringing in a lot of foreign players instead of like trying to trust their academy players and that. But I think Jim Goodwin's recruitment's actually been spot on, Robbie.
Aye, and Graham, that sort of bleeds into the first goal as well. I mean, it's a lovely run for Sapsford and a really, really nice finish as well.
That is very, very composed. It's a great finish. It's a great run, but it's a fantastic finish. Because a lot of other players might have just smashed that, but you've gone for the dig. It's a great finish. And I thought for Spells United actually looked pretty decent yesterday. They're playing some decent football. They've got a massive threat. Fata was excellent at Tynecastle when they came to Tynecastle. They're a very good side. That front three are very dangerous. I mean, you talked about United goals. It's a fantastic goal from Magoma for Rangers. He's about 30 yards out. It's a great strike. There were a few decent goals last night. It looked at, from the highlights, it looked a very good game. You know, both teams gave everything, but again, it's now no wins in 5 for United and no wins in 3 for Rangers. You know, they've got decent players, both of them, but they're just not getting any consistency.
Aye, and Reagan Rangers did actually score a good goal of their own, Magoma on the 23rd minute. I mean, that was a really, really nice hit for him.
Yeah, that was brilliant finish. I mean, there was no chance for the goalkeeper, and that was his first professional goal as well. So, some way for him to score that, Robbie.
Aye, the less said about Jermaine, the better. But Graham, I forgot what I was going to say there now. Me, Reagan, and Michael spoke about it in depth last week about Danny Rose tying so far. What have you made it? Because I think most Rangers fans can clearly see that, you know, I think a lot of the blame now has to lie on the players, and a lot needs to happen with the players. And would you agree that Danny Rose probably done quite a good job?
I think with the players that he's inherited, he's done all right. You know, I don't know what else he can do. I think it's going to take a couple of transfer windows to get the squad that he wants. I mean, it's having to do with Russell Martin's players, who, let's be honest, are absolutely brutal. But yeah, I think he's done okay. You know, a point away at Tannadice is not an absolute disaster. They were lucky to beat Livingston because they're sharing a penalty, as we all know. But I think he's done okay. You know, they're not in a title race, I don't believe. And I think a few Rangers fans thought they're in a title race. They're not. Not with that squad. I mean, I know you mentioned him there, and I don't like to pick on players, but Jesus Christ, that Chermiti is brutal. That boy wouldn't get a game. That guy wouldn't get a game of soccer. Honestly, he is awful. He looks like he's won a competition to play football. Seriously, but he's done all right. But I think he's going to need at least a few transfers to get the squad that he wants to get into some of the players, because some of them just aren't good enough. And I don't rate Giga. I think he looks really poor defensively.
It does. Reagan, we sort of spoke about that with Giga. I think, as I said on the show, it's baffling to me that Wolves thought he was worth 10 million quid when they first signed him, and he didn't look much better against Dundee United. No,
he probably should have scored, Robbie. I think if it's anybody else, if it's my granny, if it's my dog, I think they score that goal. But he just looks as if he's bereft of confidence. I think at the end of the day, I think Danny Rose being surprised by the squad that Russell Martin and Fairwell has been left with. I think that's why he tends to use his kind of traffic warning signs. He says red, amber, and green, and he says a lot of the players are red and amber. I think he's probably looked in and said that Rangers need to bring in better players. I think in January you're probably looking at 2 strikers. But I think Barry mentioned that. I listened to Barry last night on Go Radio, and he was talking about the fact that Rangers let Dessers go. I mean, Dessers scored 29 goals last year, and Cherny scored 19. I mean, to let those guys go, it's just crazy.
Yeah, there was a stat that flashed up on Sportscene after the Livingston game, I think, that Rangers have let go, I think it's 63 goals, and the guys they brought in have only scored 4 between them. I mean, that's a damning stat. They're just not good enough. The recruitment has been absolutely terrible. We all talk about the fact the recruitment for any team is so important, and Rangers recruitment has been absolutely terrible.
Aye, obviously Reagan for Dundee United. Old pal Jim Goodwin heads up the road to Paisley to take on St Mirren. How do you think they'll be feeling ahead of that one?
I'm calling it the Robbie Derby because it's two managers that you adore, Robbie, innit? Stephen Robinson and Jim Goodwin. They're your two pals.
Well, listen,
Um,
me and Gabriel will be going out for a wee McDonald's before the game on Saturday just to have a wee team talk. But no,
but
aye, but,
I think I'm looking for. I think I'm looking forward to this game, Robbie. I'm just a little bit disappointed that me and you have not got press passes to interview Jim Goodwin after that game. But no, I think that I think in terms of this match, I think it's massive for both clubs because I think Dundee United have been through a little slump. That they've got quite a few draws in the last few matches, and obviously St Mirren, as you know yourself, are not doing too well. So I think it'll be a close game, but I think St Mirren will get back to winning ways.
aye, and Graham, for the outside, also looking at this match, how important is it that we sort of build momentum before that big cup final next week? Because I know it's a one-off game and anything can happen, and I know we weren't exactly playing the best stuff before we beat Motherwell in the semi, but I think it always is good to have a couple of wins under your belt before going to play a big game.
Yeah, I think whenever you go to a final, you need to try and build momentum, and I think it's massive for St Mirren. We know that St Mirren can score goals. They proved that yesterday. Going to Pretoria and scoring 3 goals and still not winning. Disappointing. But they've got goals in the team, and I think they need to try and win the game at the weekend to just build momentum for the weekend. Because that Celtic game, anything can happen. We know that anything can happen in a cup final, but I do think it's important that St Mirren are going into that game with some kind of confidence ahead of that game. Because if they don't win at the weekends, the pressure just builds on that Celtic game.
Aye, and it will be such a big one. But just before we wrap up, we do have one more game to talk about. And me and Reagan were on the show Monday night. We were getting it I can't wait to see this match on Sports and can't wait to see the highlights. This is going to be match of the night. Falkirk 0, Motherwell 0, 0 goals in this game, Reagan. A draw, probably for what I've seen, a fair result.
Yeah, I know, Robbie, me and you built it up big time, and we did think that it was going to be a massive match to watch because Falkirk are playing well. Fair play to them, and so Motherwell. I thought it was going to be a great match to be involved in, but no, I didn't really live up to the expectation, Robbie.
No, I agree. I was listening to Jens after the game, and he was just sort of happy they got a clean sheet and put in a half decent performance. I think it's two teams that I think they're very much on form right now.
Yeah, it's 2 clean sheets in a row for Motherwell. I thought looking at the highlights, they both did have chances. Falkirk had a chance early on that Adjaman should score, and of course I think second half Longello should actually square it. But there was moments in the game yesterday that both teams looked alright, but I think they're both having pretty good seasons. Motherwell is one of the best footballing teams in the league this season, and they're sitting third for a reason. And Falkirk sitting in the top 6. I don't think many folk expected that. So I think it was always going to be a difficult game yesterday, and they cancel each other out. But they're both having very good seasons. I think if you look at the top 6 right now, I don't think many folk would have expected the top 6 to be the way it is. So fair play to Motherwell and Falkirk. Very good season so far.
I agree. Obviously, for Falkirk next, it is a way to rivals Hibs at Easter Road. Do you think John McGlynn will be feeling pretty confident that he can go there and get something at the game?
I hope so. Morning, Falkirk!
And Reagan, next up for Motherwell, they face Livingston at home on Saturday. A match you'd think Jens will be expecting to go and get all 3 points in?
Yeah, I think so, Robbie. I think that in terms of Motherwell, I think they've been a great start to the season. I don't think Motherwell fans will be too downhearted, Robbie. I think they'll think they've got a real genuine chance of getting top 6 this season. I think that's what Motherwell fans will be pretty happy about. But I'm looking at Motherwell as well. As much as Motherwell have a bit of a ropey start to the season in terms of getting wins, because obviously they got that first win about 2 weeks ago, but they're never ahead of Aberdeen, Rangers, and the Highbury, so they're going to be very happy. And I think I was listening to Motherwell fans yesterday, and a lot of them seem happy with the style of play as well.
Aye, until they play St Mirren at Hampden and they concede 4. But no, that is all we have time for. I just want to thank quickly, by the way, Simon in the comments who say great stuff, lads. Thank you very much, Simon.
Robbie,
Aye, Reagan.
I'm just going to say as well that I've put the TikTok link in the chat. If everybody can, if they can go and follow the TikTok page, that'd be great, because the TikTok page is doing very well, Robbie. And we'll be back again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Robbie, tell us about that as well.
Aye, the big day. Scotland back in the World Cup draw. We finally get to see who we will be playing in America, Canada, and Mexico next year. Graham, thank you so much for joining us again on the show. For people who maybe don't know, what are you up to these days?
So I have my own TikTok page, my Hearts Enthusiast channel, which has got about over 9,000 followers so far. So I do a lot of stuff on that. I've got my own YouTube channel as well, the Gorgie Boys podcast. So yeah, very, very busy doing social media stuff, and yeah, thoroughly enjoying it.
Aye, Graham will probably be back on at some point, undoubtedly. But Regan,
Graham, are you going to join us tomorrow for the World Cup draw?
Possibly. It depends if I'm back from work.
No problem. I'm sure Michael and Robbie and the guys have got a lot of great people that's going to be on the show. And thanks very much for joining us, guys. It's been great to be on.
No, of course, anytime.
No worries.
Aye, Mona Scotland.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the